Today I'm going to show you how to fix your lateral pelvic tilt with 3 powerful exercises. So like my online coaching clients, you can go from this to this, or this to this. Let's go. What's up guys? Blake here. Lateral pelvic tilt basically means that your hips are tilted sideways and one iliac crest is hiked up higher than the other one. If you have this going on, you'll typically have a lot of one-sided low back tightness, typically on the side with the side that's hiked up. You might even have some SI joint issues in that region. Additionally with this, because the pelvis is the base of the spine, almost always you'll see that your shoulders are uneven as well. And it's the shoulder that is depressed lower down than the other one that's typically on the same side with the hiked hip, and there's more concavity bending on that side of the body. I've helped hundreds of people totally fix and eradicate their lateral pelvic tilt. And doing that involves getting down to the root cause behind why you have a lateral pelvic tilt in the first place. This really involves a comprehensive full body analysis because there's a lot of factors potentially at play here. You can have increased ankle pronation and poor foot motor control on one side of the body. You can have a true structural leg length discrepancy where one leg is longer than the other. You could have tibial or shin bone mobility issues. You could be missing hip internal rotation on the side with a hiked hip. There are genetic factors at play here. There's an entire laundry list of things that could cause or are correlated with lateral pelvic tilt, but that is really outside of the scope of this video. There's just simply too much to talk about in one video. Instead of getting into all of these things, I'm going to go over 3 super powerful exercises that help with lateral pelvic tilt regardless of what the cause is. My intention here is to give you some quick hitting things that you can do to get some instant results and start to get more symmetry in the pelvis and muscular balance. If you watch this whole thing through to the end and you want me to go deeper on this, start to explore more of the root causes behind it, then just let me know in a comment down below, and if there's enough demand for it, I'll certainly make videos on this topic again in the future. But for now, let's just get into the exercises. Number 1 is going to be a QL, or quadratus lumborum. I'm just going to abbreviate that through this video and just call it QL, a QL static stretch. The pelvis is just a hub of many different muscles that attach onto it. And when the pelvis is tilted to the side, the length and the tension of those muscles that attach onto the pelvis becomes imbalanced. Some muscles are going to be too tight, other muscles are going to be too weak, and really that's what we're addressing here. There's a muscle in your low back. You have one on either side of the spine called the quadratus lumborum, the QL, and that attaches on the 12th ribs up here, the transverse processes of the lumbar spine and back here. And basically on the side that's hiked up, that muscle is going to be shortened and tight and in need of release and stretching. The way that I have my clients release and stretch their quadratus lumborum is with a straddle stretch like this. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm bending away from the hiked hip. I'm creating more space between the ribs and the pelvis where the QL attaches, and I'm bending away from the hiked hip side, okay? This is basically how you do it. It's pretty simple, all right? What you want to be doing here is sending a signal to your nervous system that you're safe and you're calm and it's okay for your body to elongate and let go of the contraction that it's holding on to in this muscle. So when you're doing this stretch, you want to be breathing through the nose. You want to have relaxed hands, have a relaxed face, and really try to be exploring that range of motion and increasing the amount of side bending that's occurring, okay? Posting your hand like this is a kind of basic way to do it. If you want to intensify the stretch, you can come down onto your elbow, okay? Something that's really important here with this is that you're not hiking your hips. Both of your butt bones, okay, your ischial tuberosities, you want to keep these in contact with the floor at all times, not do this during the stretch, okay? So try to keep that butt bone down. Don't let your hips tilt while you're doing this. Maintain a level pelvis and hold this stretch. Again, bending away from the hiked side for 2 minutes. Exercise number 2 is QL activation. This time we're going to be doing this to the other side, the hip that is lower. We want to actually be doing this because when the hips are hiked, the QL on the hiked side is short and tight, whereas the QL on the low side is long and weak, and it actually typically needs a little bit more strength and activity. So it's kind of hard to activate the right QL or the left QL independent from one another because typically they work together in something like back extension. But if we get crafty here, we can bias one QL to work more than the other, which is what we're trying to do here with this exercise. All that we really need to do is lay down on our belly, pull our hands into our chest so that our hands are off the floor. We want to arch the back, and then we want to laterally flex or bend the body towards the QL that we're trying to activate. This is typically going to be towards the left, okay? Most people have a hiked right hip, all right? Meaning that that right QL is the short, tight one that we want to be stretching with that first exercise. The left QL is the one that's typically long and weak that we want to be strengthening with a movement like this, okay? You should feel this in that quadratus lumborum region, specifically on the side to which you're bending towards, okay? Again, we're arching the back, facilitating spinal extension and lateral flexion, two functions of the quadratus lumborum. And typically with this, I'll have my clients do this for about 2 sets of 30 seconds. I want to say here that it's important for you to know which hip is hiked up. Most commonly, due to certain anatomic reasons, people are going to have a lateral pelvic tilt with the right hip hiked up. That's by far most commonly what we see, but I've definitely worked with clients that have the opposite going on, the left hip hiked up. So you want to make sure that you're only stretching the tight quadratus lumborum and you're only strengthening the weak quadratus lumborum. And that involves you having understanding as to what your pelvis is actually doing. So I encourage you to take some posture photos of yourself, relax from the front and back to kind of assess this for yourself. Look for, depressed shoulder, increased concavity on that side of the high hip. And if you need to, consult with a professional like myself to get a full body analysis done. Exercise number 3 is what I call butt walking. This is a funny looking exercise that, frankly just looks ridiculous, but it's amazingly powerful at promoting muscular symmetry between those QL muscles in the low back. This is going to help iron out any remaining left to right muscle imbalances that you have in the low back region, all right? It's even going to work the obliques and some of the other muscles that are typically correlated with lateral pelvic tilt. It's basically just a good balancing exercise that stimulates the right side independent of the left side and promotes symmetry there. To do it, you're simply just going to walk on your butt like this, okay? Typically with this exercise, I have my clients do this for anywhere between 2 sets of 10 and 15 steps on each side, all right? The goal here is to kind of be walking on the ischial tuberosities, these butt bones right here. You're hiking up the right side, planting that butt bone down, then the left side, right side, left side, right side, left side. Again, this has a great balancing effect on the pelvis, and this is something that I have my clients do after they've done that static stretch for the QL and the activation of the weak one. In other words, this is something to do after those first 2 exercises. Again, before you do these exercises, get a good grasp on what your pelvis is doing. Is it the right hip that's hiked up, which is going to be most common, or is it the left hip, which is less common, okay? It's important for you to know which one you have going on because that's going to dictate those first 2 exercises, all right? And which quadratus lumborum you're stretching, which one you're strengthening. If you're in doubt and you can't figure it out, just stick to exercise number 3 here because that's going to be your safest bet. That's it though. I promise that if you do these exercises regularly, you're going to find that your lateral pelvic tilt improves tremendously as well as the muscular balance in that low back region. If this is all too complicated for you, or if you really want to get down to the root cause issue, then check out my coaching program. I've been coaching and teaching people corrective exercise for almost 20 years. I've worked with myriads of people that have lateral pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, sway back posture, handful of mobility issues, and stuff like that. As a corrective exercise coach, I give my clients customized programming to improve their posture, their mobility, their flexibility, their muscle imbalances, and also lifestyle stuff too. Stress mitigation, sleep recovery, circadian rhythm, supplementation, so on and so forth. If you want to see some of those client transformations or hear their success stories, hear what they were struggling with before they started working with me and what happened after, then just open up the description down below, click the link there for coaching, and check out my coaching page. If you want my free workout that helps you build muscle and get leaner while correcting common muscle imbalances, mobility, flexibility issues, and postural misalignments, then go ahead and click the link somewhere on this screen here that will take you to my website where you can check out that free workout. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you go ahead and do that. And that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you next time.